Hello friends, I hope you are having a good time. Today I am going to tell you the importance of hard work and silence. You see, true success is often built in quiet moments when no one is watching. It's about focusing on discipline, consistency, and motivation from within, not relying on external validation. The results will come, but they only come when you trust the process and stay committed, even when the world doesn't see your efforts. Let's discuss with some examples. The secret garden. It's a concept that resonates deeply with anyone who's ever had to nurture something unseen, something fragile. Imagine this a plot of land, barren to the outside world. There's no evidence of growth. No sign that anything remarkable will ever come of it. Yet beneath the surface, something extraordinary is happening. Seeds are breaking open, roots are taking hold, and life is quietly but persistently emerging. This is how success works. This is how fulfillment works. It doesn't begin with a grand announcement. It doesn't start with applause or accolades. It starts with silence, with effort that no one sees, with a vision that only you can imagine. Too often we get distracted by the need for recognition. We want others to notice our efforts, to validate our work, to reassure us that we're on the right path. But the truth is, the most profound growth happens when no one is watching. The secret garden is a metaphor for this. It's the space where you toil in quiet, where you water the soil, even when there's no sign that anything will grow. It's where you show up every day, even when you feel like giving up. And here's the hard part, no one else will understand the effort it takes. They won't see the nights you stayed up late, the mornings you dragged yourself out of bed, or the countless times you questioned whether it was all worth it. But you'll know. You'll know the work you put in, the sacrifices you made, the discipline you cultivated. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who planted bamboo seeds. He watered them diligently day after day, month after month. For 5 years, nothing happened. Can you imagine that? 5 years of effort with no visible results. Most people would have given up. But he didn't. He kept watering, kept tending, kept believing. And then in the 6th year, something incredible happened. The bamboo shot up, growing nearly 90 feet in just 6 weeks. Now, here's the question, did the bamboo grow 90 feet in 6 weeks? Or did it grow 90 feet in 6 years? The answer, of course, is 6 years. Without the foundation of roots, without the years of unseen effort, the bamboo could never have reached those heights. That's what working in your secret garden looks like. It's about building roots before anyone sees the results. It's about preparing for the moment when growth will become visible, knowing that it's the unseen effort that truly matters. And here's the thing, society doesn't reward the roots. It rewards the shoots. It celebrates the visible success, the overnight sensation, the meteoric rise. But you and I both know that's not how it really works. There's no such thing as an overnight success. What people call overnight success is usually the result of years, sometimes decades, of hard work, discipline, and sacrifice, all of it happening in the secret garden. Why does this matter? Because if you understand this, you won't give up when the results don't come immediately. You won't quit when progress feels slow, or when the world doesn't seem to notice your efforts. You'll understand that growth is a process, not an event. You'll know that the effort you put in today, even if it's invisible, is building something extraordinary for tomorrow. The secret garden also teaches us about patience. In a world that's obsessed with instant gratification, patience is a superpower. Think about it, everything around us is designed to give us immediate results. We can order food with a tap of a screen, stream a movie in seconds, or get a package delivered the same day. But the things that really matter, the things that bring lasting fulfillment, don't work that way. You can't rush a garden. You can't force a plant to grow faster. All you can do is create the right conditions, show up every day, and trust the process. And that's the challenge, isn't it? Trusting the process when there's no guarantee of success. That's what separates those who truly achieve something remarkable from those who give up too soon. It's not talent or resources or luck. It's the willingness to keep going, to keep tending the garden, even when you're not sure if it will bear fruit. This isn't just about personal success, it's about leadership too. As leaders, we often find ourselves in the position of tending secret gardens. We invest in people, in ideas and projects, knowing that the results may not be immediate. It's our job to create an environment where growth can happen, even if it's invisible at first. And just like with a garden, we can't force it. We can't demand results. All we can do is nurture, support, and trust that the effort will pay off. Let me share another example. In the 1960s, the US, Government launched the Apollo program with the goal of landing a man on the moon. At the time, it seemed impossible. The technology didn't exist, the knowledge didn't exist. But they invested billions of dollars and countless hours into research and development, often with no immediate results. For years, the progress was invisible. Rockets exploded, missions failed, and skeptics questioned whether it was all worth it. But in 1969, Neil Armstrong took that first step on the moon. That moment of triumph was the result of years of work in the secret garden effort that most people never saw, but without which the achievement would have been impossible. The secret garden is also where you discover who you are. When no one is watching, when there's no external pressure, that's when you find out what you're really made of. Do you have the discipline to keep going? Do you have the courage to believe in something that hasn't yet materialized? Do you have the resilience to withstand setbacks and failures? These are the questions you answer in the secret garden, and the answers will define not just your success, but your character. I want you to think about your own secret garden. What are you nurturing right now that no one else can see? What seeds have you planted that you're not sure will grow? Maybe it's a business idea or a personal goal or a relationship you're trying to build. Whatever it is, I want you to commit to it. I want you to show up for it every day, even when it feels like nothing is happening, because the truth is something is happening. Growth is happening. Transformation is happening. You just can't see it yet. And here's the most important lesson: the secret garden isn't about the end result. It's not about the flowers or the fruit or the towering bamboo. It's about the process. It's about the person you become in the process. The discipline you build, the patience you develop, the resilience you cultivate, these are the real rewards. The visible success is just a bonus. So keep tending your secret garden. Keep showing up, keep believing, and keep trusting the process. Because one day when the world finally sees the results of your work, they'll call it a miracle. But you'll know it wasn't a miracle at all. It was the result of countless hours of quiet effort, of faith, of perseverance. It was the result of a garden that was never truly secret. It was just waiting for its moment to bloom. The quiet storm. That's what I want to talk about today. The quiet storm is not the chaos people expect, not the noise, not the shouting, not the declarations of success before the work is done. It's the steady build, the momentum that's invisible at first, but unstoppable once it comes to life. We live in a world that celebrates loudness. Social media thrives on it. People post every small victory, every minor achievement, and every step they take as if the journey is already over. And yet, the most extraordinary accomplishments in human history didn't begin with noise. They began in silence. They began in moments of quiet determination with people who had the courage to embrace the stillness and put in the work without asking for applause. It's not easy to work in silence. Let's be honest, we all crave recognition. We all want someone to say, good job, or you're doing amazing. But what if the most powerful storms, those that transform everything in their path, begin in the quiet? Picture the calm before the storm. The world feels still, almost deceptively so. That stillness isn't emptiness, it's preparation. It's energy building up, gathering strength, waiting for the moment to be unleashed. That's what working hard in silence is like. It's about preparing for your storm, not for destruction, but for impact. Imagine a tree growing in the middle of the forest. No one sees it. No one cheers it on. No one is standing there clapping as it stretches toward the sky. And yet it grows, quietly, persistently. It grows not because it wants attention, but because that's what it's meant to do. It sinks its roots deep into the earth, anchoring itself so firmly that when the wind comes, when the rain beats down, it doesn't waver. And when the storm clears, the tree still stands taller and stronger than before. That's how we should work. We're so quick to look for shortcuts, to seek validation, to prove to the world that we're doing something worthwhile. But real progress doesn't need an audience. Real progress needs commitment. It needs patience. It needs silence. When we embrace the quiet storm, we shift our focus from what the world expects of us to what we expect of ourselves. And that's a powerful shift. Instead of chasing recognition, we chase growth. Instead of looking outward for approval, we look inward for purpose. Think about the people who inspire you. I mean, truly inspire you. Not because of their fame or wealth or the number of followers they have, but because of their impact. The people who change the world don't announce their intentions to everyone they meet. They don't brag about every step of the process. They simply get to work. They show up day after day, even when no one is watching. especially when no one is watching. It's easy to talk about success. It's easy to paint a picture of the future and say, this is what I'm going to do, but what happens when the cameras are off? What happens when no one is around to give you a pat on the back? That's where the quiet storm lives. That's where character is built. Working hard in silence doesn't mean hiding your dreams. It doesn't mean you're not proud of what you're doing. It means you understand that the work itself is more important than the recognition. It means you're willing to sacrifice the immediate gratification of applause for the long-term reward of mastery. Let me tell you something about mastery. It's not glamorous. It's not flashy. It's messy, repetitive, and often frustrating. Mastery is waking up early to practice when you'd rather sleep in. It's staying late to perfect your craft when everyone else has gone home. It's doing the same thing over and over until it becomes second nature. And all of that happens in silence. I've seen too many people give up because they didn't get the recognition they thought they deserved. They started strong, full of enthusiasm, but the moment things got tough, the moment the applause stopped, they lost their way. They didn't understand the power of the quiet storm. But here's the thing, silence isn't empty. It's full of possibility. It's the space where we grow, where we learn, where we transform. It's in the silence that we discover what we're truly capable of. Think about a musician practicing alone, playing the same piece over and over until it's perfect. Think about an athlete training in an empty gym, pushing themselves harder than anyone else would. Think about an entrepreneur working late into the night, building something from nothing. None of them are doing it for the applause. They're doing it because they believe in the storm they're creating. When you work in silence, you build a foundation that no one can take away from you. You develop skills, resilience, and a sense of purpose that isn't tied to anyone else's approval. And when the time comes to step into the spotlight, you're ready. Not because you were chasing the spotlight, but because you were prepared for it. That's the beauty of the quiet storm. It doesn't rush. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't seek validation. It simply builds moment by moment until it becomes something unstoppable. The world doesn't need more noise. It doesn't need more people shouting about their plans or broadcasting their every move. What the world needs is people who are willing to put in the work, day after day, without expecting immediate results. People who understand that the real reward isn't the applause, but the growth that happens along the way. So I ask you, what kind of storm are you building? What are you doing today in the silence that will create an impact tomorrow? Are you willing to embrace the quiet? Are you willing to do the hard work, even when no one is watching? The quiet storm isn't glamorous, but it's powerful. It's transformative. And it's worth it. Because when the time comes to unleash that storm, you'll know it wasn't the noise that got you there. It was the work, the patience, and the silence. The world will see the results. But you'll know the truth. You'll know the storm didn't come out of nowhere. It came from within you, built over time, forged in the silence where only you could hear it growing stronger. The silent composer. Let's talk about the symphony of success. The symphony isn't built by noise, it's built by notes, one by one, meticulously placed by the composer. The composer doesn't shout about what they're doing. They don't announce every stroke of their pen. Instead, they sit alone in silence, crafting their work. That's what it means to work hard in silence. When I think about the most remarkable individuals I've encountered, leaders, innovators, creators, they all have one thing in common. They embrace the silence. They don't need a stage to proclaim their work in progress. They understand that the stage comes later, and that the most critical part of their journey is the quiet work done when no one is watching. You see, silence is not empty. It's full of opportunity. When you're silent, you create space to think, space to plan, and space to build. It's in that silence that you connect with your true purpose. Noise distracts. Silence clarifies. And in that clarity, you find your power. Now, I'm not saying silence is easy. In fact, it's the hardest thing for many of us. We live in a world that rewards noise. Social media, instant gratification, constant updates, they create this illusion that if you're not announcing every step, then you're not moving forward. But the reality is, the most significant movements happen in the quiet. The composer doesn't announce every note because they know that it's the entire symphony that matters, not the single sound. Think about your own life for a moment. How much time do you spend worrying about what others think about how they perceive your progress? How much energy do you waste explaining yourself, defending your path, seeking validation? Imagine what could happen if you took all that energy and redirected it inward to the work that truly matters. That's where transformation begins. I remember a conversation I had with a friend who started a company. He told me how in the early days he felt this constant pressure to prove himself, to show the world that he was doing something valuable. He'd post updates, talk endlessly about his plans, and try to rally excitement, but he wasn't making progress. Why? Because he was too busy focusing on how others perceived him instead of focusing on the work. One day, he made a decision. He shut off the noise, he stopped explaining himself and started working. Really working. Quietly, and you know what happened? His progress exploded. The ideas started flowing, the team started building, and eventually the results spoke for themselves. When he finally shared his vision with the world, it wasn't just an idea, it was a reality. That's the power of working in silence. It's not about hiding, it's about honing. It's about creating something so compelling, so undeniable, that when you finally reveal it, the world can't help but pay attention. And here's the thing, silence isn't just about the absence of noise. It's about the presence of intention. When you work in silence, you're not just avoiding distractions, you're actively choosing to focus. You're making a commitment to your craft, to your vision, to yourself. That's what separates those who achieve greatness from those who settle for mediocrity. Let's talk about the composer again. Imagine them sitting at their desk with nothing but a blank sheet of paper and a pen. There's no audience, no applause, no one cheering them on, just them and their work. That's where greatness begins. In the quiet, unglamorous moments when no one is watching. But let me tell you something about those moments. They are sacred. They are the foundation of everything you will achieve. If you can embrace the silence, if you can find joy in the process, you will discover a strength that no amount of noise can match. I know what some of you might be thinking. But Simon, what if no one notices? What if I work hard in silence and no one sees the results to that? I say that's not the point. The point isn't to be seen, the point is to create something worth seeing. When you focus on the work itself, when you pour your heart and soul into your craft, the results will come. And when they do, they will speak louder than any words ever could. You don't need to tell the world you're working hard. You just need to work hard. You don't need to prove your worth with words. Your actions will do that for you. The composer doesn't write music to impress people. They write music because they can't imagine doing anything else. They write because it's who they are. And that's the key. Your work isn't about them, it's about you. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, about pushing your limits, about creating something extraordinary. When you focus on that, the rest will fall into place. I want you to think about your symphony. What are you composing in your life? What notes are you placing day by day in silence? Are you creating something you're proud of? Something that reflects your true potential? Remember, the symphony doesn't happen overnight. It's built over time, one note at a time. And every note matters. Every decision you make, every action you take, it all adds up. So don't rush the process. Don't let the noise distract you. Stay focused, stay disciplined, and trust that the silence is where the magic happens. Working hard in silence is not about hiding, it's about building. It's about taking the time to create something real, something meaningful. It's about honoring your craft, your vision, your purpose. And when the time comes to share your work with the world, it will be worth it. Not because of the applause, but because you'll know that you gave it your all. So I challenge you, embrace the silence. Be the composer of your own life. Write your symphony, one note at a time, and let the music speak for itself. The hidden fire. The hidden fire. That's what we're here to talk about today. The fire within you that no one can see, no one can hear, and no one really understands except you. It's the thing that keeps you up at night, that pulls you out of bed in the morning. It's that unshakable feeling, the one that tells you there's something more, something I'm meant to do, something I'm meant to be. But here's the thing about a hidden fire, it doesn't show up with a bang. It doesn't announce itself to the world. It doesn't come with applause or recognition. A hidden fire starts small. It's quiet, almost imperceptible. It begins as a spark buried deep within you. And it's your job, not anyone else's, to nurture that spark. I'm not talking about waiting for motivation or inspiration to strike. That's fleeting. That's surface level. No, I'm talking about something deeper. The hidden fire isn't about what you tell people you're going to do. It's not about Instagram posts or LinkedIn updates. It's about what you do when no one else is watching. It's about the hours you put in when the rest of the world is asleep. Because let me tell you, the world is full of people who talk. They talk about their dreams, their goals, their ambitions. They make grand declarations about all the things they're going to achieve. And some of them do. But most get distracted. Most lose interest. Most let their fire burn out. But not you. You're here because you know the value of keeping that fire alive. You know that the greatest work you'll ever do won't happen in the spotlight. It'll happen in the quiet, in the stillness, when it's just you and your ambition. And let's be honest, that's not always easy. It's not glamorous. There are no cheering crowds when you're up at 2 a.m. trying to figure out how to solve a problem. There's no round of applause when you say no to distraction so you can stay focused on your vision. It's just you and the work. But that's where the magic happens. That's where the fire grows, not in bursts of excitement, but in the steady, relentless effort of showing up every single day, of putting in the work, of doing the things that others aren't willing to do. Because here's the truth, the hidden fire is what separates the good from the great. It's what takes someone from dreaming to doing. It's what turns potential into reality. And it's not something you can fake. You can't pretend to have a fire burning inside you. Either it's there or it's not. So how do you keep that fire alive? How do you make sure it doesn't burn out when things get hard? First, you have to know your why. Why are you doing this? Why does it matter to you? Your why is the fuel for your fire. It's the thing that keeps you going when everything else tells you to quit. It's the reason you started, and it's the reason you'll keep going. Your why isn't about money or fame or recognition. Those things might motivate you for a while, but they won't sustain you. Your why has to be bigger than that. It has to be personal. It has to mean something to you. Maybe your why is about proving to yourself that you can do it. Maybe it's about creating a better life for your family. Maybe it's about making a difference in the world. Whatever it is, hold on to it. Write it down. Keep it in front of you. Because when the days get long and the nights get hard, your why will be the thing that keeps you moving forward. Second, you have to be willing to do the work. There's no shortcut to success. There's no easy way to get where you want to go. It's going to take effort. It's going to take time. And it's going to take sacrifice. That's the part most people don't want to hear. They want the results without the effort. They want the rewards without the struggle. But that's not how it works. The hidden fire doesn't grow on its own. It grows because you feed it. You feed it with discipline, with consistency, with the choice every single day to show up and do the work, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it, because that's when it matters most. And third, you have to be patient. The hidden fire doesn't turn into a roaring blaze overnight. It takes time. It takes persistence. It takes trust in the process. It's like planting a seed. You don't plant a seed and expect it to grow into a tree the next day. You water it, you nurture it, you protect it from the elements, and you trust that eventually it will grow. The same is true for your fire. You have to trust that the work you're doing in the dark will pay off in the light. You have to believe that the sacrifices you're making now will lead to something greater in the future. But that belief, that trust, it's not always easy. There will be days when you question yourself. Days when you wonder if it's all worth it. Days when the fire feels like it's barely flickering. And on those days, I want you to remember this, the hidden fire is still there. Even when it feels small, even when it feels weak, it's still burning. And as long as you keep feeding it, it will grow. So keep going. Keep showing up. Keep doing the work. Because one day that hidden fire is going to erupt. It's going to light up the world in a way that no one can ignore. And when that day comes, you'll know that every quiet moment, every unseen effort, every sacrifice you made, it was all worth it. The invisible architect. It's a concept I've been thinking about a lot lately. Imagine an architect, someone with a vision so clear, so vivid, that they can see the entire structure in their mind long before the first brick is laid. But here's the twist. No one else knows what they're working on. The world around them sees nothing but an empty plot of land. People might walk by and wonder what's happening here. They might not even notice it at all. But the architect, They're working relentlessly, sketching, calculating, revising, and planning, knowing that one day the structure will stand tall, undeniable proof of the work done in silence. We're all invisible architects in some way. Every single one of us. Each of us carries a vision, a dream, or a purpose that others might not fully understand yet. And that's okay. Because the most significant things we'll ever build in life, the ones that truly matter, begin in the quiet, out of sight, where the foundation is laid brick by brick. But let's be real. It's hard. It's hard to show up every day and work on something that no one sees or acknowledges. It's hard to keep going when the results aren't immediate. And it's especially hard when people question what you're doing, or worse, when they don't seem to care. But here's what I want you to understand: the invisible work you're doing now is the most important work of all. It's the work that separates those who dream from those who achieve. Think about the tallest skyscrapers in the world. Before a single steel beam is raised, something critical happens underground. The foundation is dug deep, often deeper than anyone imagines. That process is slow, messy, and entirely invisible. But it's absolutely essential. Without it, the building would collapse. The same is true for the work we do in our own lives. The effort you put in now, the unseen hours of practice, the late nights, the early mornings, the sacrifices, those are the foundations for your future success. Let me tell you a story. There's a bamboo tree that grows in Asia. When you plant the seed, you water it and nurture it for an entire year, and nothing happens. You keep watering it, year 2, and still nothing. Year 3, year 4, same thing. Not a single sprout. People might look at you like you're crazy. They might even tell you to stop. But if you stay patient, if you keep tending to that seed, something incredible happens. In the 5th year, it starts to grow. And within just 6 weeks, that bamboo tree shoots up to over 90 feet tall. 90 feet in 6 weeks. But here's the catch: it wasn't really 6 weeks. It was 5 years and 6 weeks. All that time, the tree was growing underground, developing roots strong enough to support its explosive growth. That's what it means to be an invisible architect. It's about having faith in the process, even when you can't see immediate results. It's about trusting that the work you're doing in silence is laying the groundwork for something extraordinary. And it's about ignoring the noise, the doubt, and the impatience that try to distract you. You see, we live in a world that glorifies visibility. Social media, for instance, gives us a platform to showcase our highlights. But success isn't built on highlights. It's built on the quiet, invisible work that happens behind the scenes. It's built on the days when you don't feel like showing up but do anyway. It's built on the moments when you question whether it's worth it, but choose to keep going. Let's talk about discipline. Discipline is the bridge between the dream and the reality. Discipline is what keeps you working when no one is watching. And here's the thing about discipline: it doesn't come from external motivation. It comes from within. It comes from the understanding that your actions today are investments in your future self. Think about that for a moment. Every decision you make, every action you take is either building your future or tearing it down. The invisible architect knows this. They know that every sketch, every calculation, every adjustment matters, even if it feels insignificant in the moment. Now, let me ask you this: what's your blueprint? What are you building? Because here's the truth: if you don't have a clear vision, you're not an architect, you're a bricklayer. Bricklayers work without understanding the bigger picture. They're just going through the motions, stacking bricks without knowing why. Architects, on the other hand, start with the end in mind. They know what they're building, and every action they take is aligned with that vision. But having a vision isn't enough. Vision without action is just a dream. Action without vision is just passing time. But when you combine vision with action, that's when you create something extraordinary. That's when you transform from an invisible architect into a builder of greatness. There will be moments when doubt creeps in. Moments when you wonder if you're on the right path. That's normal. Every great architect faces setbacks, challenges, and failures. But here's the difference between those who succeed and those who don't. The successful ones keep going. They adapt, they learn, and they keep laying bricks, one at a time. They understand that failure isn't the opposite of success, it's a part of it. Failure is feedback. It's a chance to refine your approach, to strengthen your foundation. Let me tell you another story. Thomas Edison, the man who invented the light bulb, is famous for his perseverance. It's said that he failed over 1,000 times before finally succeeding. When asked about his failures, he didn't see them as mistakes. He said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's the mindset of an invisible architect. Every failure is a lesson, every setback an opportunity to grow. But here's the thing, being an invisible architect isn't just about working hard. It's about working smart. It's about being intentional with your time and energy. It's about knowing when to push forward and when to step back and reevaluate. And it's about surrounding yourself with people who believe in your vision, even when it's not yet visible. Because let's be honest, there will be days when you feel like giving up. Days when the weight of the work feels too heavy. On those days, having a support system can make all the difference. So let me leave you with this thought: the world needs more invisible architects. It needs more people who are willing to work in silence, to lay the foundations for a better future. It needs people who are brave enough to dream and disciplined enough to act. And it needs people like you, people who understand that the most important work often goes unseen. What you're building matters. Even if no one sees it yet, even if no one understands it yet, keep going. Keep showing up. Keep laying those bricks. Because one day, when the structure stands tall, when the vision becomes reality, the world will see what you've been building all along. Thanks for listening to me.